In today's video, we are going to look at economics. I'm breaking the presentation down into 3 videos. We will have this video, which is going to be an overview, and we will also look at definitions of supply and demand. The second video, we will be looking at different types of economies, and in particular looking at market economies. And building from that, we will then go on to look at the structure of the UK market. The third video will be looking at fiscal and monetary policy. These are the mechanisms that both government and central banks will use within a country to set the economic policy for that particular country. That will cover things like inflation rates and things like that, but we'll look at that in the third video. Hopefully you will find this of interest, but as ever, if you have any queries, just get back to me. So first slide, obviously we have a link to a YouTube video. I'm not going to show that here, but if you want a very basic, simple introduction to economics and supply and demand, that video will give it for you. It is useful. I found it helpful myself, but I'm going to be touching on the things that are in the video in this presentation anyway, so hopefully you will find that of benefit. So starting off with what is economics, or what we're looking at? Well, we're looking at how we determine prices in the country, basically. Looking at supply and demand, is there enough of a particular resource, and are there enough people looking to buy that resource? And the interaction of those two factors will establish a price. So we're looking at how that impacts on prices, inflation, interest rates and unemployment rates, as you can see here. And as I said already, we're going to be looking at market economies, and that's basically, as I said, how the economies are managed within individual countries, and that will vary from country to country. So we're looking a little bit at that today as well. So hopefully most of you will already have heard of the term supply and demand. So if you go into supermarket, example here, go into supermarket and you look on the shelf and see how many bottles of water are available. If you want to buy 100 bottles of water but there are only 90, then there's more demand than supply. So supply is the amount of water that is available on the shelf, and the demand is how many bottles of water you're looking to buy. Obviously, if we take this and apply it to an HR environment, the supply would be the number of employees in the labour force looking for jobs, and the demand would be the number of employers with jobs that they're trying to have filled. So the more people that are looking for a job, the companies can afford to bring their prices down, so the wages are lower. If you have 100 jobs and only 10 employees, then the employees or the potential employees can demand a higher wage, so that causes wages to increase. So we can see that if you have a lot of demand for something, but there's a scarcity of supply, then we can put the price up. But if we've got saturation in the market because the market's flooded by a product, then companies tend to have to reduce prices to try and help the product sell. Hopefully that's clear for everybody. So, as I said, market economies are the practice of economics within individual countries, and this will vary from country to country. Generally speaking, we have 3 main categories that we would put market economies into. First being, I've come across these different terms, and I think you need to be aware of each of them because in your exam they could use different terminology. So we can talk about a closed economy, or a planned economy, or a command economy. And that's where the state controls and regulates everything. There's a free market economy, which is the reverse, where there's no state control and the companies are left to set their own prices as a totally free, open competition among businesses. And a mixed market economy, which is probably the most common, the one we'll see most of, is a mix of both. So there's maybe some state control, occasionally there might be state intervention, but there's also freedom for competition to take place, and it would allow the competition within the marketplace to set the prices. But that's what we're going to be going on to look at in our second video.